Hello, and welcome to the Vessel Online. We're here today with a very special guest and graduate of USF, His Honor, the Mayor of Sioux Falls, Paul TenHaken. Thank you so much for being here.
His Honor, wow.
His Honor.
His Honor, I love it.
I'm so glad we could be the first ones to do that. All right. So before attending USF, you were enrolled at Dordt College, and there you studied art and graphic design and everything. I'm just curious, what kind of led you to do that? Was that something you were always interested in, or?
Well, I went to college from '96 to 2000, before you were probably even born.
Before I was born,
Yeah.
That's quite correct.
But the internet was just taking off. The internet was just becoming a thing.
Okay,
then.
gotcha.
And I wanted to ride this internet wave that I saw coming. And so I went to college for web design. When the way web design and web development was done back then was way different than it was today.
I believe it.
So that was my original intent, is I wanted to get in the web world. And so that was my major, despite the fact, I don't tell a lot of people this, I'm colorblind. So I'm a colorblind.
You know, I did
web
read that
designer.
somewhere,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
How did that go?
Not good. That's why I'm not doing it anymore. But that was my original foray into the web world, which really sprungboard my whole career into marketing and web development, and kind of led me to where I am today.
Gotcha. All right. And so then after you graduated from Dordt, you moved to Sioux Falls, right?
I did. Moved here, and I chased a girl and ended up marrying her, so it was good. Landed in Sioux Falls in 2000, and so I've been here 22 years. And so spent a couple years in marketing and web development, and realizing after that time I didn't want to be behind a computer screen for the rest of my career.
Fair.
So sought out USF and their working MBA program they had. I mean, it was a pretty new MBA program at the time. Took some undergrad courses here that I didn't get at Dordt. Enrolled in the MBA program, and that kind of led me to more of the business world of marketing, web development, and the actual creative, productive world.
Was there something specific that kind of led you to USF, or kind of caught your eye initially?
You know, Christian college is very important to me. You know, Dordt University is a Christian school. I really appreciate the Christian-based worldview that's woven into all the academics there. And honestly, USF at that time was the place where you went to get your MBA. I mean, this was pre, all these online MBA programs. Those weren't a thing yet. You had to have a brick and mortar place where you could go and do this work. And so USF was here. I was a Christian school. I had a good reputation, and now I'm a Cougar, man.
There you go. I'm kind of curious. Like, has the university changed a lot since you've been here? Like, do you see all this different stuff? Like, wow, this is not here when I was here.
It's totally evolved. Like, even the studio we're in, wasn't here, and it was like, I don't know, 04, 05 maybe when I went through the MBA program. So Stewart Center, obviously the sports campus, the football field, and the track and everything was not even there. They practiced. Let me see, right over here, I think it was. And now that's all dorms, so it's changed a lot.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What's one of your fondest memories that you have during your time at USF?
You know, one of the things I really appreciated about my time here when I was getting my MBA was honestly the connections and the relationships that I made. And I know that sounds really corny, but even today, a lot of the contacts and relationships that I made going through the MBA program over the course of 2 years, I'm still using in my daily life. I'll give you an example. I mean, one guy I met in my MBA program, we became great friends, and we've been friends now for 15 years. And he just did a big remodel project on my house last year. And but for this program, I wouldn't have some of those connections and contacts in my life. So they've helped me personally, professionally, and so even when I bump into people that 15 years ago I went to school with, we go back and we harken back to our time at USF and
that's great.
going through this program together.
Nice. And you had mentioned professionally, so after you got your MBA, you founded your marketing technology agency, ClickRain.
That's right.
Can you describe in one sentence what it's like starting a new business like that?
It's terrifying, it's exciting, and it sucks, and it's fun. Is that a run-on sentence?
I won't get into the grammar or anything. I'm not an English major.
So, I started that company in 2008. The genesis of that was in 2008, President Obama had just won the White House, and he had used digital technology, digital marketing, email marketing, MySpace. I mean, this was pre-Facebook, pre-Instagram, TikTok, all this stuff. But he'd used digital in a way that no other candidate had ever done before. And I saw that happening. I'm like, man, I think this social media thing is going to take off. And I started a company that helped the businesses, helped politicians, helped candidates use social media. And it was just good timing, because we know what's happened with social media over the last 10, 12 years. And so that was the kind of the genesis of the company called Click Rain. Did that until 2018 when I got elected to this office.
Nice, nice.
Oh, yeah.
And now here in 2022, can you give any advice to current USF students who are thinking of maybe one day after graduating starting their own business?
Well, I would tell you that, starting a business, typically what people just see is the success stories and the glamour, and this person made it, look at this entrepreneur, and look at Mark Zuckerberg. People always lift up all these incredible entrepreneurs, but it's a grind, and I didn't want to start a business for a lot of years because of that. There's a benefit to knowing you're going to get a paycheck every 2 weeks and just going and working for someone. And so it takes a certain type of person who's willing to say, listen, I'm willing to not pay myself for a year. I'm willing to, have to work 80 hours a week so I don't ever have to work 40 hours a week. That's kind of the entrepreneurial saying and phrase. So, but it's probably one of the most exciting and rewarding things I've ever done, starting a business. So it takes some courage and it takes a lot of hard work, but I don't think you can ever find that same level of career fulfillment, at least for me, working for someone, because I think entrepreneurship's the best.
Gotcha. So then after Click Rain, I mean, you decided eventually to run for mayor. Can you kind of describe how you went from USF student to Click Rain to becoming mayor?
Well, back to the Christian-based philosophy of USF and the kind of Christian foundation for me, I was running a company, it was going great, we were growing, but I just felt God wasn't using me in the way that I should be used. I felt like there was more out there for me than just running a business. And I always saw Click Rain, we had 35 people. It's like, okay, I had a mission field, I had a congregation, if you will, of 35 people, and I thought there was more. So I decided to run for office. I've always liked politics, and more than that, I love Sioux Falls. I love this city. And I felt it was time for a younger mayor, a younger leader to lead the community. I was younger at the time. I was in my 30s when I decided to do it. And so that's what led me to do it. I honestly thought I'd lose. I'm like, okay, I'll run. I'll probably lose. And then I'll maybe pivot, start another business, start another company. But God was really tugging on my heart to run for office. So I did it. Didn't lose. And now in my second term, got reelected.
Got reelected for another term. Congrats, by the way.
Yeah. So April of 2026, the city's stuck with me unless I get impeached or do something dumb.
I'm hoping that won't happen. I think you're good. What advantages do you think, as mayor, you graduated from a Sioux Falls college, what advantages do you think that's brought being mayor?
Well, I think I have a very good pulse on, what the workforce in Sioux Falls needs, and I can advise, whether it's Augustana, whether it's Southeast Tech, whether it's USF, on what does the workforce in Sioux Falls want? What should your curriculum be focused on? I spend a lot of time talking with, President Bradfield and President Hersa Sandlin and Augie, and they're always trying to, customize their programs. And hey, is there a need for this in the community? Where do you see Sioux Falls head in the next 10 years? What's the next big industry? And we can advise them and say, hey, this program, if you evolve this a little bit, we see a big need in financial services coming up in this space, or crypto, or whatever it might be, so that the curriculum can evolve. Entrepreneurial studies is a great example of USF kind of adapting a curriculum when they came up with the entrepreneurial studies program and degree to meet the increasingly entrepreneurial nature of Sioux Falls. And so I think I have a pretty good pulse, having gone to school here, lived here, now being a mayor here, of what the higher ed market needs to look like in our community. Because my goal, honestly, I want to keep people like you, I want to keep your buddies, your colleagues, all your classmates, I want to keep you in Sioux Falls. I think this is a great community. I think you'll have a hard time finding another city or community that offers what Sioux Falls can offer. And so I'm heavily invested in making sure that the colleges are successful here and the students are successful, because we want them to stay, those successful students to stay in Sioux Falls.
Oh yeah, for sure. Can you just walk me through what's like the average day of being a mayor? Like, what's that like? You wake up and then what?
Well, I'll walk you through today. I'm doing this. 9:30, I got a meeting with a personal kind of life coach, I guess you'll call it, for a half hour. He checks in with me once a month. I then have a meeting with my fire chief and police chief and my public health director, and they just, for 90 minutes, they give me a lay of what's going on with public safety and public health in the community right now. And then this afternoon, the whole afternoon, I chair what's called the FCC's Intergovernmental Advisory Committee. It's very nerdy, but the FCC controls, you guys know FCC, probably being in TV, and they're the ones who bleep stuff and make sure that the content is applicable. I chair the Intergovernmental Advisory Committee for the entire FCC. So we have a Zoom call all afternoon with all my colleagues on that. And then tonight at 5:30, I'll go to an event for people who've been in jail or incarcerated and have gotten out of jail and are trying to start their lives in Sioux Falls. And I get to speak to them and talk to them about how they can be successful in Sioux Falls, being felons, being people with records, and just showing that we still love them. We still want you to be successful in Sioux Falls and pour into them. And then I'll go home and tuck my kids in and do it tomorrow.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty full day every day.
Every day, man.
It's not easy being mayor.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to for not just Sioux Falls as a city, but also just for yourself?
It's a great question. I just am so bullish on the future of the city. We're the 130th largest city in the country. In the last calendar year, 20 to 21, there's only 5 cities that grew faster than Sioux Falls of those 130 largest cities. 2 in Texas, 2 in Florida, and then North Las Vegas, and then Sioux Falls. So you got all these warm climate cities, 5 that grew, and then Sioux Falls. And so there's a lot of people coming here right now. There's a lot of people who like the climate, and I'm not talking the weather, but I'm talking the business climate, the leadership climate of the state, of the city. And so I think this is a really exciting time to be in Sioux Falls. I think our downtown is exploding and becoming a real cultural hub and mecca with arts and with dining and with retail. So I think the future is really bright. I also know, though, that as we grow, challenges come with growth: crime, housing, workforce, infrastructure. And so I'm really just excited about the future of this city and trying to balance the challenges of that growth with all the exciting things that are coming with it. So personally, I got 3.5 more years in the chair, and that's what I like about term limits. I know exactly how many days I have left in this job. So it creates an urgency to get things done, to keep moving ahead, to keep charging hard, and not, well, maybe I'll tackle that in my next term. It's like, no, I know I'm done. April of 2026, it's over. So we're charging hard to get some big things done in this community in the next 3 years.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. I think we got time for one more question. I'm sure as mayor, you inevitably receive a lot of criticism, but I wanted to ask, what are some of the best compliments that you've received as mayor?
Oh, man, no one ever asks that. Some of the best compliments, I think one of the best compliments I've gotten just is centered around the fact that the past 2.5 years, Josh, have been incredibly tense in our nation. We had what I call CPR in 2020. We had COVID tensions, we had political tensions, and we had racial tensions with George Floyd's murder, and all those things came in 1 year, and just this tsunami of anger was unleashed in our country, and we're still dealing with that. And in Sioux Falls, we've been able to squash that. We've supported cops. We haven't had the racial tensions to a level that you've seen in other cities or communities, because I think we're trying to build an inclusive community for everyone. I think we handled COVID correctly, and which is why people are wanting to come here, which is why businesses are growing. So I think the best compliment someone could pay me and have is that, hey, how we've managed that CPR for the last 2.5 years has been good, because it's kept our community moving forward when there's a lot of cities and communities across the country that are really struggling with dealing with the impacts of those 3 things over the last couple of years.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today. It means a lot to the media students and our campus as a whole. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Josh.
For the Vessel Online, I'm Josh Werre.